Hello and welcome to DFS Coach Talk. It is Wednesday, September 15th, 2021. I'm Andrew Hansen alongside Joe Stanton, ready to break down the Thursday night football game in week 2, Giants and the Washington football team. Joe, what a crazy week 1. How are you feeling?
Week 1 was full of exciting games, especially the Thursday night and Monday night football game. Probably two of my favorites. I don't know if this Thursday night football game is going to live up to those expectations. Hopefully it will. But I'm a Broncos fan. We got the win. I'm feeling great. I'm loving it. How about you?
Yeah, that's true. What you said about the Thursday night game being just so memorable, and then not really thinking either of the other primetime games would live up to it. But then Monday night, man, that overtime game with Raiders and Ravens, and it was perfect example of the roller coaster of DFS, where we had the 15x return on our hybrid lineup in overtime with the Ravens when they had the ball, and then Lamar fumbles, and it all disappears and it becomes just a small victory night. But the thing I love here is that was only week 1. We've got 17 weeks, and now we've got a lot of data and a lot of visuals to play off of here to put out some great lineups in week 2. And like you said, your Broncos, that's your team. You watch them here against the Giants.
Yeah.
And I've had a chance to go back and watch both these games on tape. So I'm excited to break down this Thursday night game. Like you said, it's not probably going to be a high-scoring, exciting game like some of these other ones. The total right now is 40.5. Washington favored by 3. But I think our prep has us ready to put some good lineups together.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. I watched these Giants get kind of clobbered by my Broncos this last week. I'll say clobbered, sure.
Yeah, sure. Why not?
Yeah. I mean, as far as the game looked, it wasn't exciting for the Giants until the fourth quarter. And going into this week, I mean, you had Saquon Barkley taking about 48% of the snaps last week, had about 10 touches, 10 carries, didn't get much work in. And even after the game, he quoted to the media, he said, it's not ideal for a schedule to line up this way for someone coming back from a major injury and have a game back-to-back in 5 days. He said, it is what it is. That's what he said, which isn't encouraging for him to come out and get more snaps and more runs. I mean, you want someone coming back from injury to have that consistent play out there. So it's not like he's not going to touch the field, but man, it's such a tight turnaround for someone who hasn't gotten much work in and is coming back from that big injury. He didn't look like the Saquon in that Broncos game. I'm sure they're probably more targeting a week 3 where you have that really long break between the Thursday night football game and then that week 3 Sunday game for the Giants. Maybe that's his big return, but I don't know about this one. And then of course you have Booker backing him up. He was quiet as well in that game. I think he only got a couple carries himself. So as of right now, I'm not too excited about the New York Giants running game, just in the timing of everything. What do you think?
Yeah, I'm not either. It's a great point. The short turnaround here. This is Thursday. This is the short week that's really tough on running backs, especially coming back from injury. And this reminded me of last year, and it just stuck with me how the Giants actually were very conservative on the Thursday night game. So I went back and looked at the stats, and the time they had that Sunday-Thursday turnaround, Devontae Freeman had 18 carries in that Sunday game, and then that Thursday he only had 3. And they flipped the script. They gave Gallman the lead with 10 carries. And it just goes to show you the NFL with running backs. Those 2 running backs aren't on this team anymore. But Joe Judge is still there. And I expect him to be conservative, first of all, because it's a Thursday, second of all, because it's Barkley. I don't think he's going to get monster touches again. I think I'd rather pay for Booker if I'm going to pay for either of these running backs with the value as a punt play. He got 4 carries, didn't get any receptions. They really didn't throw to the running backs. Saquon had 3 targets, 1 catch. They didn't even attempt to pass to Booker. So, you're probably not looking at big volume there, but, he is a possible last guy in the lineup. But I'm ready to fade Saquon entirely at his price. Are you as well?
Yeah, it's tough to get to him at that price. Like you said, Booker's there for value, just if you're trying to squeeze in those top guys, but I don't think it's necessary. It's not the worst play in the world, but yeah, I'm kind of ready to fade this Giants running game. And as far as the passing game goes, like we said, it's gonna be a low scoring game. 40.5 over under. How it kind of looks right now is I suspect the Washington football team is going to be leading most of the game, and the Giants are going to be coming from behind, looking to pass a lot. So you kind of looked at Daniel Jones, which surprisingly enough, Andrew, he's 4-0 versus Washington football team.
That's solid. Yeah, it's probably his best record against anybody.
Yeah, certain horses for certain races, and I guess Daniel Jones just likes playing that Washington football team. But I don't know if he's going to like him this year, because that defense looks pretty stout over there on the other side. They played a good Chargers team in week 1,
Yep.
and right now, if you look at how it is, it says the Washington football team's defense is ranked 24th. They're a great defense. I fully expect them to land top 5. And as far as Daniel Jones goes, he's had 40 turnovers since 2019. I think that's the most since 2019. He fumbles, he throws interceptions. But if you're going to get to the Giants, you're going to get on their passing game. I don't know if it's going to be Daniel Jones. I might more or less go to taking one of the wide receivers for a big game. But that's kind of my take on Daniel Jones here. I'm interested to see what you're thinking and, who you might pair him up with or take alone as a wide receiver.
Yeah, I mean, Herbert, threw for 337 against Washington. Like you said, that's the way to attack them. Jones is very turnover prone. He was, he was solid in that first week. He really got a boost from the rushing touchdown he had on the last play of the game.
Sure.
Made his fantasy numbers a lot better than they really were because, your Broncos were really hurting on the Giants there until the fourth quarter. But in this one game slate, I am willing to pay for Jones. Much rather pay for him than Saquon. And I would like to pair him up with at least one of his receivers. Shepard is the guy that I want to talk about the most because he ended up with the most targets, the most catches, the most yards, went over 100 yards, got the touchdown. And I compare him to Keenan Allen. Keenan Allen, 9 catches last week against Washington for 100 and working mostly out of the slot. Shepard's in there a lot. He will go outside as well. Price tag is reasonable on both sites. But Gallaudet, I know, is certainly an option worth considering. What do you think about Shepard versus Gallaudet here?
I love the point you made. I think Shepard is probably the guy that I like to target the most here. He has that chemistry with Daniel Jones as far as chemistry goes for Daniel Jones with his guys. And Gallaudet is the new kid on the block. And that was pretty apparent in last week. I think Gallaudet got 1 target in the first 3 quarters. In that fourth quarter and kind of garbage time, he got 3 more receptions and put him up about 64 yards. He even said in an interview afterwards, he goes, it's rusty chemistry. That's how he summed up the preseason. And he said it's going to get there with time. He still thinks the New York Giants offense can be explosive, but it's clear that he's not absolutely comfortable with there yet, and maybe it goes both ways for Daniel Jones. So I like Shepard. I think that's a great call. I think putting him in the slot where Keenan Allen did some damage, I think it's a great opportunity. I mean, he put up over 100 yards and a touchdown versus Denver with some really good cornerbacks and a good secondary. So I think Shepard's the play here. I don't mind Galladay's matchup. Of course, you're looking at some price differentiations when you're building. If you get Gallaudet, I'm not upset. Now, if you get Slayton, I might be a little upset with you because I'm not liking Slayton in this one. How PFF grades his wide receiver cornerback matchups, it's the worst on the board across both teams as far as wide receivers goes. He was pretty quiet in the opener, and I'm probably not on Slayton. And furthermore, I don't think I'm really too high on Kyle Rudolph either in the tight end spot. I don't know what your thought is on that, but I didn't see him too active out there. He's 31. Not to knock on his age, because I wish I was playing NFL at 31. But man, didn't see a lot of action out of Kyle Rudolph. What do you think?
Yeah, it was weird. I did notice that it was like he wasn't really out there. He was a complete non-factor. He did end up with 5 targets and 2 catches, but not a promising week 1 for him with Evan Ingram out. And Ingram is out again, so Rudolph should be the lead guy with targets. Caden Smith did play 48% of the snaps, didn't get a target. So you could go there, to Rudolph. Not my favorite play. Jared Cook was solid against Washington here as a tight end last week, 5 for 56. But Cook, seems to be strong and in good shape, and he looked better to me than Rudolph did. So it's not a direct comparison. That's 100% for me. But, Rudolph is playable at his price.
Mhm.
3,200 on DraftKings, only 7,000 on FanDuel. Not my favorite play though, by any stretch.
Yeah, but if you have to get there,
Yep.
he's the lead guy. It's not a split committee like Tampa last week where we're fighting for who we want there, and Gronk gets 2
Right.
touchdowns. Pretty
Right.
good. Cool.
Yeah.
Hey, Andrew, I think this is the perfect time to stop and tell our members a little bit about our memberships before we get into the other side of the game. We're offering a full NFL DFS season pass. You get us through the Super Bowl. You jump in our Discord, join the community. It's $350 as a value. It's probably our best deal that we ever pushed out there. You're not just getting NFL, you're getting MLB, NBA, the rest of PGA. You're getting it all for a great value at that. We also offer a 3-day pass if you're just looking to try us for the weekend, see the winnings just for yourself to confirm you're making the right decision to hop in. Or you do a 5-day pass for $19, and that gets you this Thursday through Monday for the NFL. You get us for 1 week of the season. We've already had multiple people do that, and they've stuck around, and it's just absolutely great. I don't know if there's anything I missed there. We're always doing giveaways on our social media. You can follow us at DFS Coach Talk on Twitter. We actually just gave away that full NFL DFS season pass. We got Justice joining us, and that's exciting. And we're going to be doing giveaways throughout the season. So it's a great time to join, and we're just looking to crush it. It's going to be great.
Yeah, absolutely. And then the other thing here is we do have our partnership with Pro Football Focus this year, which is going to be huge. We're already loving it, reaping the benefits. So thank you to them for all their terrific data. And we're sharing some of that with our members. And our analytics man, John Weedhausen, is developing something this week to add, which is a tremendous tool. So we'll save that for our members. But we're going to help everybody, be able to gain an edge. And if you have any questions, DFS Coach Talk on Twitter. If you'd like to go ahead and sign up, go to our website, dfscoachtalk.com, sign up for whichever length membership you want, and then we'll send you an email and get you into our Discord and welcome you to the family and provide you our lineups. We give full lineups on FanDuel and Yahoo, and then the coach's clipboard on DraftKings, and that's what sets us apart is that we give you actual full lineups that you can plug and play. All right, Joe, let's transition to this Washington side. They are the 3-point favorites at home. Again, 8:20 kickoff on Thursday. And we got to start with the quarterback situation here with Ryan Fitzpatrick had that unfortunate injury early, and he's out for an extended period of time now. So it's Taylor Heineke under center. And, he looked okay. It was just a low-volume passing attack here for Washington. Low-scoring game in that 20-16 loss. He was 11 for 15. So not many attempts, not much to go around. Antonio Gibson obviously was featured, and he led the team in touches by a mile. So Heineke, he's playable for me on this 2-game slate. I think he's solid. He's got enough arm strength. He does have mobility too. He tucked it under 3 times and picked up 17 yards on the ground. But I want to start here with one of my value plays, Joe, at the wide receiver position on this slate. Okay. It's De'Ami Brown. All right.
Yeah.
And this youngster is ready to make a splash. I think, he, in stark contrast to Kyle Rudolph, who looked like he wasn't even really out there. This guy was all over the field, and amazingly, he only had 1 catch for -2 yards, but he was targeted 4 times. But the key play of the game for me, and what is making him a value play, is they took a deep shot with him. He was on the right side, go route, went deep, and just didn't connect on it. But it was the same play that the Giants ran. That your Broncos ran. KJ Hamler. Do you remember that go route that he took? He flew down the right side, beat the secondary, perfect throw in the end zone. He dropped the touchdown. Right. Yeah. So these are the things that don't show up in the stats. You have to watch the games. That's one of the things that makes us have an edge is we watch the games. We use the eye test, and we remember these plays. Even if you read about that play, to see it, it's stuck in my mind. Where KJ Hamler, he beats that secondary, should have been a long touchdown. And I think De'Ami Brown is going to run that same route. He did it last week. I think he's going to do it again. He's dirt cheap on both sites. So he's my GPP play. And I'm going to build some lineups here with Heineke and Brown
I
and see
like
if we
it.
can get a long touchdown.
Yeah, Brown was on the field for 93% of the snaps last game. Like you said, you were nervous to say, was Kyle Rudolph out there? Brown was definitely out there, and you noticed. And I kind of like Heineke in this one. Last game, he came in, halfway through the game after Ryan Fitzmagic goes down, consistent with 11 for 16, throws a Logan Thomas touchdown. We remember the playoffs last year. He's over there, Old Dominion, finishing up his mathematics finals, and he gets a call from Riviera. He's like, "Hey, come on down, start for us against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers." He throws
Right.
44 times. 26 completions, but he's not afraid to sling the ball.
No.
And I think it's really funny. Chase Young after the game, the whole locker room's upset that Ryan goes down, but he goes, we got Big Trey this week. Got Big Trey. I think he's a leader in the locker room, and I think the guys have his back. And I really like Heineke in this one, and like you said with Brown, and I also like him with Terry McLaurin as well. He's their guy. I think Scary Terry, he's kind of QB proof. He's that good. Got the most targets. He matches up well against the New York Giants secondary. And I think he's the top rated wide receiver for PFF in this one. And I think if you're getting two of those pass catching guys for Washington, if not a third, if you want to pick them up, I think you're in good shape. But then, we obviously have to talk about the running game, which we'll get to. But what do you think about Terry McLaurin in this one? And a couple of those other wide receivers, we got Humphreys, Sims, but yeah.
Yeah, I do like Terry as well. He was a little bit quiet there in the first half. It took a while for him to get his first target even. He did end up with 4 catches on those 4 targets and looked fine when he was involved. And like you said, good matchup. They both are going to run some against Darnay Holmes in the slot, who's the weakest corner for PFF's ratings here. So, yeah, I agree. I like the matchup. McLaurin, obviously the veteran. Just will he get enough volume at that price tag? I think it's worth a play in a significant amount of my lineup. So he'll definitely be in the mix for me. And those other guys that you mentioned briefly, Humphreys 2 catches, Sims only 1 catch, 1 target.
Sims only had 2 snaps. He was on he had 2 snaps. But Curtis Samuel, we should have mentioned he's on that injured reserve here, which puts Humphreys and Sims into play. But 2 receptions for Humphreys and then just 2 snaps for Sims, who was a part of Heineke in the playoff game. He looked pretty good, but I don't know about this one.
Yeah, and Humphreys is the kind of guy on DraftKings who I like in showdown slates because of PPR, but he's 4,800. That's a little bit high for him. He's the type of guy, if he's down in the 2K range, then I'll fire him up, kind of like Renfro last week.
Sure.
So he's a little pricey for me. I do like Logan Thomas, though. This is one of my favorite matchups in this game, Joe. If you look at what your Denver tight ends did, they combined to go 10 catches, 85 yards, and a score against the Giants. Logan Thomas is he's out there by himself. He's going to get all those targets. Like you said, he's nice start with the touchdown reception from Heineke. I really like Logan Thomas this week. Are you with me there?
I have the same thing written down, mainly because I wanted to write down that the Denver Broncos tight ends did really well.
That's another story. When we break that team down, it's not going to be very fun. If you got Albert O with these delicate footwork touchdown, getting in the mix and stealing touchdowns from Fant, that's not going to be easy to evaluate.
I've got Fant in all my year-long fantasy teams. I don't want that.
Yeah, exactly.
But I agree with you. I think Logan Thomas has a great matchup against Tay Crowder in this one. He has that chemistry with Heineke. Heineke after the game said he wants to continue getting the ball more to Terry and Logan Thomas specifically and keep that chemistry going. I think it's a great matchup. Like you said, the Denver Broncos just attacked that tight end spot last week, and I don't think anything's going to change. And Logan Thomas is poised to have a great year, everything considered. So I love Logan Thomas in this one. Right. Finally, in the running back side of Washington, I think my favorite position on the Washington side is Antonio Gibson. The Washington football O-line, comparatively to the Giants defensive line, this stat comes from PFF. They're at a 49% run advantage. And with this type of game that I think Washington could go up big, I think Gibson's going to find holes. He looked explosive. He got all of the carries. McKissick got those passing there, but I think Gibson's poised to have a really great game. Love the way he looked there, and I think I could put him in my captain spot. I'm really high on Antonio Gibson.
I love the touches for him. I love his outlook this season. I think he's going to have a tremendous season. I do want to play him in this game, but here's one little piece of hesitation. If you look at the numbers and if you watch that game, the Giants were pretty solid against the run. Gordon had that 70-yard touchdown. He broke in the fourth quarter. It was 4.5 minutes left in the game. So the game was over. It was garbage time. And, he broke it and went to the house. Other than that run, they only allowed 3.17 yards per carry to the running backs, 24 carries, 76 yards. So, I think that contributes a little bit to that 49% advantage and the numbers as a whole. So if you take that away, you can say that all the time. You do have to include big plays. And does a team give up long runs or long passes? And that can be a tendency. But for me, just watching the game, I thought their run defense was looking pretty solid.
I mean, I respect Blake Martinez. He's good. I would put Antonio Gibson higher than Melvin Gordon, and I would put him higher than Javonte Williams collectively as well, just as far as skill goes.
Those are both Broncos. You sure you want to do that?
Yeah, that was a hard take there. But no, I think that's
can be hard sometimes.
I think that's a great point. Numbers can be really inflated after week one. You don't want to say, whoa, 49% run advantage, just it must play, which is kind of funny because I probably just recently said that. But I think you make a great point. I mean, I do still think Antonio Gibson's going to have a good game. But they stuffed the hole. They stuffed a hole a good amount, and that's when Teddy went to the tight ends for the check down plays. So I definitely agree with you there. I'm still liking Antonio Gibson though. And I think he could have a really good game.
Absolutely. All right. Well, I think we've covered it pretty well. The defenses are worth a look. I certainly would lean towards Washington if you want to go there. They are expensive though, $5,600. Yeah. So tough to get there. But like you said early, Daniel Jones is prone to the turnover. So Washington defense could certainly make a splash here. But
you got a favorite kicker?
Not really, but it could come into play. 30. I'm looking at that price range. I'm going to keep playing with it on DraftKings. I might go down to somebody like Booker or Rudolph over the kickers, but they're in play.
I mean, with a low-scoring game, absolutely. And I think that's also what gets you different in some of those lineups. Taking a Booker Rudolph or defense kicker, gets you different. And you never know. I mean, kickers they're good floors, not high ceilings, but they're very good floors. And if you need it to get to those upper guys, I'm not upset with that either. But I was kind of joking around with you when I asked if you had a favorite. I haven't looked at the kicker rankings yet, so.
Yeah, I haven't either. But on FanDuel especially, sometimes the kicker gets completely overlooked because you're only picking 5 players, and sometimes they make a difference. And Carlson, when he hit that 55-yarder to send it to overtime in that Raiders game, he became a real factor. So they can be game changers, no doubt. And this would be the type of game. It could be a field goal fest. Would not surprise me at all. So, but all in all, I'm just fired up to build some lineups here for week 2 and get after it with you, Joe. So. We'll have lineups for members. Again, FanDuel, Yahoo. We'll give out the core on DraftKings for the cash build, the GPP build, and see if we can bring home some winners. You ready for that, Joe?
Absolutely. Fired up.
Beautiful. All right. Well, thank you all for joining us. We'll be back next Wednesday. Joe and I are going to break down all these Thursday night games. And this weekend, Joe might jump on the Main Slate podcast with us. With Josh and I, but not week 3 because he's going to be at Chiefs Chargers, right?
Yeah, in the AFC West, now with my Broncos, but going to see a really cool game at Arrowhead. I'm absolutely pumped. I got surprised with the tickets. It's going to be sweet. It's going to be awesome.
Yeah, that's fun to look forward to. But we got a lot of football between now and then, so
Yeah.
Thanks again for tuning in on behalf of Joe Stanton and the rest of the DFS Coach Talk team. I'm Andrew Hansen. Please do hit that like button, subscribe to the YouTube channel to catch our other NFL podcasts coming out on Saturday for the main slate and the primetime podcast. We'll do a separate podcast for that. So those will post on Saturday. Good luck with your lineups on Thursday. All right. We'll see you next time as we look to crush it in DFS.